Hey everyone, this is a super quick video just to explain this whole thing about multiple outputs on virtual instruments in Mixbus again. I wanted to do one in version 5.32c and Mixbus Standard 32. Mixbus Standard version 5 works exactly the same. Because these questions keep coming up, even though I've done a couple of videos on these already, I just want it to be absolutely clear. So let's talk about audio routing matrix and how it functions, because this is really useful. The audio routing matrix in window audio connections allows us to connect anything to anything by simply clicking a dot or pulling a line of dots, and basically you've got sources on the y-axis and and output destinations on the x-axis. Great, fantastic. Okay, so in the case of creating a virtual instrument, what do we do? Well, we simply go to Command-Shift-N, new, I'm going to say a new superior drummer 3AU, and I'm going to call it SD. I'm going to add and close. We get this dialog which asks us how many channels we want. I'm going to say 12, and I'm going to click Fan Out. This creates 6 stereo buses that take the various audio from our plugin and split it out. Now, I've actually not got my samples hard drive plugged in today, but I'm just going to show you anyway, so let's just skip this little bit of nonsense here, because we've got some samples here that will play as needed. So if you've got some kind of multi-channel output drum sampler, for instance, you can usually choose what the destination output of all your different stems or groups or whatever microphones in the mixer. And as you can see here, I've just sent these to a few buses further down the line here. Cool, that's great. We can put effects on them. Let's just say I really want a bit of limiting on the clap. Fine. So how does that then apply in a mix? Well, we can edit the individual components individually. Brilliant. But I really want to be certain that I've got a print of these and, maybe free up for some processing power. So how do we do that? Well, really simply by creating a whole set of audio tracks. I'm going to create 6 stereo audio tracks, and I'm going to call them SD prints. I'm going to make a new group and call it SD prints. Or if I can type prints, SD prints, right? There we go, and we're going to add and close. Now, this is the point where the questions have been coming up. Do I have to go in and individually route these? No, you don't. All you have to do is on the group here and go into audio connections. And at this point, we can remove the connections here if we want. So they were basically my inputs off my audio interface. And there are 2 ways we can send audio through to these stereo tracks. The way you would do it if you were adding effects on these buses is just take the bus outputs. Now, as I've said, the sources are on the y-axis and the destinations are on the x-axis, and they're all really simply labeled. So all we have to do is click and drag and we can make a line. So I'm just going to go bring that superior drummer up there, and as you can see, the audio inputs are applied from here, from these buses on the left to the tracks on the right, and they will be printed with effects. Cool. If you want this to not sound twice as loud as it should, all you have to do is take the master assign off, and then your mix levels won't change. Okay, so what if you don't want to deal with all of these buses? Well, it's again super simple. I'm just going to go here and make sure I remove them. So basically, Mixbus tracks. These SD outs are the 12 outputs coming from Superior Drummer. So I've just removed them from the inputs to the buses. Okay, so now I'm going to go to Mixbus 32 tracks, and I'm just going to drag across my line again, and there we go. So let's just pull these into view. And the buses are now not involved at all. In fact, so much so that I can remove them as needs be. Yes, remove them. So those buses are removed, and you'll see that we still have the tracks. Now, if you want to do this without having to create the buses, you can just say no on that dialog that pops up. That is how it's done. Hope that makes sense. Hope it was quick and concise. I'll have a few series coming up in the next year, more interesting stuff, much more higher production value, I'm hoping, but I just wanted to answer this question because it comes up time and time again, and it's really easy, it's wonderful, it's probably the easiest DAW to actually do routing in, and people seem to get confused by it. So hope that helps. I'll catch you later. Happy recording, and I will see you next time.